a lot of the revenue streams that are built in that you think that you would make your living in, like let's say you wanted to be a musician, you're like, yo, I'm gonna be a musician, and then you like only have your Spotify. You will not make a living. If 100,000 people listen to your song on Spotify, you will make $300.
Hey, what's up, man? How are you,
Nice.
David?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
Sweet. I'm Adam, and this is about you, your journey in music, and we'll talk about the song coming out, I believe, Thursday or Friday, right?
Yeah, I got a song coming out Friday. Yeah, exciting. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of
Are we gonna
course.
just get right into it, or we get say hello? Or I know you're already recording.
I just go right into it.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, cool, man. So I don't know, the internet's deceived me before. Are you originally from Washington State? Is that what I
Yeah,
saw?
good. Yeah. I grew up in Seattle.
Okay. Tell me about Seattle. Were you in the city of Seattle or outskirts?
I was in the suburbs. I grew up at a sort of a very exciting time with music and also sort of like the youth music scene. There's a lot of like really incredible venues, and it was also the MySpace time. So
Okay.
I was playing shows as like a 12-year-old with like 14, 15, 16-year-olds because there was all these youth venues that were like so inspiring and killing, and a lot of them went on to do such great things. There were like bands that I was playing shows with, like This Providence and the Scene Aesthetic. um Even like there was a band that ended up becoming Portugal the Man.
Oh,
They were all
wow.
just sort of like the older kids in the scene. So yeah, Seattle was awesome for that.
That's amazing. Do you come from a creative musical household at all? Like parents into
No,
music or bands or anything?
no, I'm first generation. My mom's a photographer, so there's an element of that. And then my dad worked for Costco, building literally every Costco ever. So I
Oh,
grew up
wow.
around that. Well, yeah, and then he had such a great job, but I was the like rebel musician who like didn't get the go the career path of like working the same job for 30 years.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I will do that, but not for a corporation. Um, yeah, so I'm first generation, but I am new to the world of understanding like sort of the family line of music. I married my wife. Her whole family is musical. Her dad's a professional musician. Still, their band's been together for over 30 years, and they played like the biggest shows: the NFL Draft, the Super Bowl, all the AACM, CMA awards. They're the band for everything.
Oh,
And
they're
she
just
grew
like
up.
the backup type band?
Yeah, she grew up
Oh,
like
wow.
going to Daddy's arena shows with Faith Hill and all those big acts that he was playing with. And so she grew up. My wife's not a professional singer, but she's incredible. And then their whole family, like when I go over there for Christmas, it's like perfect four-part harmony. Everybody like it's like if you guys been rehearsing all year, like, and they're all just professional
They're like,
musicians.
David's coming over. We got to show them stuff. Like everyone's just like, oh, like in
We
the
all know
middle
he's
of
Jewish,
dinner.
and we all know he's Jewish and doesn't understand know any of these songs at all, anyways.
Oh, that's funny. Well, that's awesome though. So, but mom was a photographer. That's a pretty cool gig.
Yeah, I mean, but like it, if the leaves were pretty, she would like wake us up and be like, "Put on a turtleneck," and we'd be like, "Well, no,
Oh,
mom." And then we
okay.
like have to line the leaves. We'd be like, "There's spiders." She's like, "Shut up, smile."
What about you as far as how did you get into music? Did you pick up an instrument at an early age? Did you piano, guitar, anything like that?
Yeah, it was probably like a Hanukkah. It's probably just a Hanukkah guitar that actually I think I got a guitar and my sister got like a little drum thing, and then I ended up just taking both of them. And yeah, it became an addiction. I got lucky where there was a student in my class, and his dad was in a classic rock band called Heart. He was in the Rock and Roll Hall of
Oh,
Fame with
no
Heart. He was the
way.
guitar player, and
Damn.
he also was my friend's dad. So he like taught our soccer team, and he gave me guitar lessons, and so I like learned how to play guitar from like a guitar
Legend.
rock and roll Hall of Fame
Yeah.
legend. Yeah. Which was just really cool. And then yeah, I just got addicted to music. Um, I ended up going to University of Oregon studying business and vocal performance. So still, involving singing. And this was after growing up in bands and begging people to come to my shows.
Mhm.
Um, and then of after college, I started to put out original music and got a little bit bit by the bug of seeing the impact that like my words can make on people, where
Mhm.
like I started to get letters of like um you know sort of the hope in their dark times, or feeling a little bit less alone from my music. And that sort of changed my whole like life plan and trajectory, from sort of having like maybe plan B's in life,
Uh-huh.
playing it safe to like, no, like I want to make music what I want to do because I know the impact that it had on me, and I'm seeing firsthand the impact that it's having on other people. And then that was it. I just I have like a long history. I've literally seen all the dark sides of the industry. I was put in a boy band. I was in a band that was independent. I got screwed over multiple times. It's been a long journey. I've seen so much difficulty, but I started YouTube in 2011, and I'm a professional musician, and I do it full time. I bought a house outside Nashville. I have built my dream recording studio.
Yeah, are
Um,
you in at your studio right now? Is that or is
yeah,
that oh, wow.
this is the main room. This is just like set up for me, where I've got this like beautiful desk, and I've got a mix of like analog and digital stuff, like a gear to use. I work with a lot of great gear companies as well. And then there's a little stage in here. Usually it's set up with couches, but I'm going on tour in a little bit, so it's set up for rehearsal. And then I've got a vocal booth, and then a lot of this is all construction. Like anything in the other rooms is all construction. In this room, I put in more drywall and I painted and put in floors and all the stuff. But I built a room that's a drum room, that is a room within a room, that if there's a tornado here in Nashville, which
Yeah.
that's
I'm
the
in
safest
Nashville
place.
too, south of Nashville.
Oh, nice. I'm in Mount Juliet area. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
safest place to be, because it's a room within a room, and then all the drywall is not touching the studs. It's on little metal channels, and then those metal channels are on little rubber like clips, and everything's isolated from each other. Um, yeah, so it's my dream studio. It like works perfectly for everything I need to do for audio and video, and it's ready to go in a moment.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. So you started obviously in Seattle. You said you're in numerous bands. Uh was the boy band thing around high school? What was the progression there before you started to
I
release
uh
your own music?
I started to do YouTube covers in college, and I got sort of discovered online, and I got brought out to Los Angeles, and I got put into a band that had really great management, but it had an old pair management and a young pair management that did a joint venture right as they signed us to be a boy band, and we were going to be the next like rock One Direction. This was before 5 Seconds of Summer, and we
Okay.
had all the promises. We had all the television show. We had all the things that were like,
It's
so
all
we signed
lined
our
up.
lives away.
Yeah.
We were getting wined and dined in the Soho House in LA, and like it sounded really cool. And there was a lot of conflict between the managers, and we ended up sort of, they tried to make us like tattle on each other so they could break their joint venture off. And we were like these sort of like divorced stepchildren of babies or whatever. We were their kids. And we decided to try to fire them all, but our contracts were so bad. And meanwhile, this is all legal stuff. So this turned into like them trying to get like $250,000 out of our parents, or else we'd never work out in the music industry again. We ended up like just cutting ties, and we didn't really ever see them again, even though they gave us a bunch of like cease and desist letters for like doing our own artistry. It was a nightmare. But yeah, got past that, and 4 guys in a boy band became 3 guys as an independent rock band. And then independent rock band did really, really well. We won Hot Topics National Battle of the Bands. We toured the US many times. For example, there's a band called Against the Current. They're still out there
Hmm.
crushing. We were
Yeah.
direct support on their debut headliner. We've toured with a lot
Wow.
of people. And then we had a horrible situation happen where one of the members changed the passwords to all the social media and held it hostage for a lot of money, and whose family
Oh
had
man.
mafia ties. And so that turned into a bunch of threats. And then 3 guys became 2 guys, and we were forced to change the band name, even though all of those songs I wrote, and those lyrics that were tattooed on people, like those were my words, my stories. And like, even if you handed me a guitar right now today and you're like, yo, play a song, I'd probably play one of those songs. And it sucks because like a lot of my back catalog of music is under these other band names that like sort of disappeared. And so now 3 guys became 2 guys, and we changed our name again. We had no choice because we didn't have access to the social media, and we were called Future Sunsets at that point. And then I
Okay.
held on to Future Sunsets for a long time. And then, like every band, my guitar player fell in love with a Norwegian model, and he was like, "I got to go to Norway." And I was like, "This happens to this. This is exactly how Panic at the Disco happened too." That was sort of a joke. But then I, just like Brendan Urie, I held on to the name. So I held on to Future Sunsets for a long time, and just a year ago, I switched over to my name. So now I have one song under my name that I came out with last year, a song I came out with a month ago, and a song that's coming out this Friday. and then I've
Mhm.
got 24 more songs that are literally all at the finish line.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I saw you have an album coming out, like a debut album, right?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be really smart and strategic about how I release it. I mean, I have a double album worth of material that's all done, um, and I'm really proud of it, and everything sounds awesome. I did the drums, here, brought in a great drummer, and I've got great gear, and I'm a nerd as far as audio engineering and production, and I'd like to think my mixes are competitive, and I've been having the number one guy in the industry named Ted Jensen at Sterling Sound. I've been having him master my songs. He mastered everything from Hotel California to like if Taylor Swift puts out a new album, which she put out Speak Now or whatever recently, she'll have Ted Jensen master it. He
Damn.
literally masters everything. He did Green Day American Idiot. He does every big record and he's the best. He's so freaking good. So he's been mastering my songs and I've just been blown away by how he's finishing up my work. So yeah, I've got a bunch of songs that are like done, and
That's
now I'm gonna
awesome.
go on tour, and then
Wow.
I'll
Yeah,
figure
the
out how to
tool
release it.
the tour is a really cool concept. So I want to get into that, but just so it sounds like I mean, you've been in a bunch of bands, a bunch of, situations that didn't end up working out.
Mhm.
But you kept Future Sunsets for a while. I think it's still like an active Instagram I saw
Yeah, I
at
might
some
have
point.
promoted myself a little bit
Uh-huh.
sometime as I changed over, but I definitely changed everything over. It was tough because I think I had like 160 songs on the Spotify's for those, and now I was about to launch David Michael Frank, but there's another David Michael Frank. Don't get me started. He's like my arch enemy.
Oh,
Um,
the guy that yeah, I looked him up and or when I was researching you, he came up and I'm like, this guy doesn't look like he was born in like 48.
Damn you, David Michael Frank. Yeah, no, we're competing over Spotify, and he's ruining my life. But it's okay. I'll push through. Um,
Yeah, I would think that he wouldn't be on Spotify just because I think he's just he's like a composer of some sort.
yeah, I screwed myself because I took over when I switched a year ago.
Uh-huh.
I took over what sort of was his Spotify, but it was technically my Spotify because I released one thing in 2011 under my name. It was like me live in my backyard with my friends, but it was mine. And then
Oh.
he uploaded all of his stuff over that decade or whatever to his back catalog. And then when it was my time to switch over to David Michael Frank, I claimed my old one back because I had dibs, and so I
Yeah, of
kicked him
course.
off. But the problem is my related artists are now so bonkers that like I'm in this uphill algorithmic Spotify battle to try to fix it. And I've begged Spotify, and they said just keep sending traffic over. It'll refresh your algorithm eventually. It slowly has, but no,
Uh-huh.
it's been an uphill. It's been annoying. It's been hard to move like literally millions of followers to a Spotify that is different from if they followed me on the past. They might be like, oh yeah, I follow Future Sunsets or King the Kid or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
and now I got this other David Michael Frank messing with my Spotify algorithm.
Oh man. So what made you decide to just go with your name? Was it after the other person left Future Sunsets to move to Norway?
Well, I
Or
decided to honestly, as I decided to keep Future Sunsets for something as silly as like I had some merch left over. I still had like maybe $600 of inventory of merch. I was like, I'm just gonna keep going as Future Sunsets. I got all
well,
this
you had a
merch.
name too. I mean, the band had like
Yeah,
legitimate. Yeah, it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had some things going. But I made the switch. I knew I wanted to make the switch. It felt disingenuous keep being a band by myself.
Mhm.
Um, and so when I got an offer to go on a tour last year, but as a special guest, where I would literally just be a guest on a tour where I have a seat in the van and I sing on stage. They bring me up 5 songs in, and I'm on stage for the rest of the night, singing harmony and lead with everyone. So I used that tour is my moment to get my shit together, to get my name out there and get one song out and make the transition on all the branding. So I did, and then I knew I needed to focus on what I really cared about, which is my original music. And it
Mhm.
also has always felt a big part of my identity that I've been neglecting because to make a living in this industry, doing covers or singing Dream On or doing TikToks that will perform well is how you get people to fall in love with you, your message, who you are as a person, um, and want to follow you. and that's how you make a living, or that's how I've made a living. I know a lot of friends that have done other things and prioritized maybe the originals more and maybe have struggled to make a living. And you still have to be smart, and you have to be exceptional, and you have to be good at business, and you have to be a great musician.
Mhm.
And you have to have a content strategy and a production workflow. You have to have a lot to be able to be self-sustainable. Um, and you have to have people that believe in you. And I'm lucky that I've had a Patreon since 2014. I have a small
Wow.
but powerful community that has like supported me through a lot of this. Um, and when it came time to change my name, everybody was on board. I was worried about it. I made a stupid video about breaking up the band, and I like was me talking to myself. I was like, I quit. And he's like, you can't quit. And, it was like me versus it was stupid.
Yeah, that's pretty
Um,
funny though.
but yeah, but no one knew about Future Sunsets. I was growing on TikTok so rapidly that my searches on Spotify and Google were David Michael Frank, not Future Sunsets. I was literally like, go follow Future Sunsets. People were like, what is that? I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
interesting.
yeah, it was difficult. So it made sense, of course, to change, and it felt like me. Um,
Mhm.
I do operate very band-like, um, and I do have, like, a drummer who sort of is like a band member, but he's not because it's my name,
Uh-huh.
but he does a lot of the work, like, all the lighting. He does like, my tour is gonna have incredible lighting design and, like, so he's the only other person that's sort of, like, a part of all of the stuff, but, um, I pretty much do everything from content creation, video, audio, production. I outsource where I can, and I'm at a place in my career where I can afford to outsource. So I work with great videographers,
Mhm.
but I could also do it myself. I work with great. I outsource some string arrangements and stuff like that, but I could program them myself. But there's only so much time, and I'm not the best at everything. So I outsource to people that are better than me at certain things.
Mhm.
Um, and
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that's the
this
way to do it, right? I mean, the podcast this podcast is basically just a me and my wife and my brother-in-law helps, and we outsource some of the things, like, yeah, I could do it all, but there's not enough hours in the day, and you just get buried, and you're doing work that you're like, "Oh, this really isn't that beneficial." It's like, if I could get somebody else to do it, like, help me out, you know what I mean?
my and yeah, no, I understand. My advice to musicians or anybody sort of in the creative arts and podcasters is a lot of the revenue streams that are built in that you think that you would make your living in, like let's say you wanted to be a musician, you're like, yo, I'm gonna be a musician, and then you like only have your Spotify. You will not make a living. If 100,000 people listen to your song on Spotify, you will make $300. Let's go back to a time that I was an active musician. If 100,000 people bought something on iTunes, that would be $100,000. You see
Right.
the shift in since
100%,
2015 or so.
yeah.
Um, and I've seen a lot of my friends that were like big dogs on YouTube getting those hundreds of thousands of dollars on iTunes and then not pivot appropriately. And I've had sort of a consistent, like, I'm not big, but I've been sustainable, and I've been shifting my business this entire time. So my advice to you or anyone that's doing content creation and wants to make a living, there's a lot of revenue streams out there, and you need multiple. But if you only have the 0.003 cents that you can get from somebody who's had an impact from your art, and that could be literally like I said, feeling less alone, feeling understood, uh, like I remember listening to Chester Bennington when I was a kid and like listening to his voice and being like he literally had a song that was like, I want to run away, never say goodbye. I was literally gonna like leave that shit on repeat and like run away. My parents are gonna find it and be like, oh, he left this I want to run away song on. Oh, the bastard. But
Right,
like
right.
I remember that. And like a real there's a real like value to art that Spotify does not give you your worth back to you. It doesn't tell you your worth. If I
Mhm.
value my worth on my Spotify, I couldn't buy my groceries. But if
Right,
I value my
100%.
worth on something more tangible, so like if you have an opportunity that somebody who wants to support you can give you $20, do it. But if you don't have that opportunity out there, good luck making a living with your art. Like you
Mhm.
have to have those opportunities. And maybe you would be a great person for Cameo. I don't have Cameo, but whatever. There's a million different things. But if you don't have merchandise, or you don't have
Right.
merchandise that is at a profitability margin that makes sense. So a lot of those outsourcing companies where they print on demand, if you sell a $25 t-shirt, you might see $5 because they're just doing everything and they print it on demand.
Yeah, and they're like,
I
"Here,
work
we'll use the marketing that you did or your name or your brand or whatever, and just you get
exactly.
$3 for that." Yeah,
Yeah, they
100%.
do all the work. But like if you set up your business like that, you're sort of screwed. Whereas like you can always upscale to that situation when you're ready, but work
Mhm,
with your within your means. When I do t-shirts, I work with a local family, awesome t-shirt printing company. I get good stuff, but I get it at a good price and I'm paying this family. They're really sweet. They just had a baby. They print my shirts. I own my shirts. I take them back here. I have a room in my house that is organized small, medium, large, extra large of the different merch, and I ship my merch myself. And if it's a $30 shirt, it might cost me $8 to make. And I'm truly going to be able to make a profit. And those people that want to rep my merch because my music has affected them, they're actually giving value back to me instead of it just getting watered down.
mhm. No, 100%. Yeah, yeah. See, I love what you're everything you're saying because this podcast is, built for and that's actually the last question I ask people is if they have any advice. So I'll probably ask you again if you have like a little snippet of
I
what we
have all
talk
kinds
about.
of advice.
But yeah, it's just how do you do this? You know what I mean? Like how do you sustain? You don't have to be Blink 182 to live off of being a musician. I mean, it would be great, but
No, and you don't
it's
have to
not the
win a singing
reality.
contest online either.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
you do need to
Um,
be phenomenal. You do
yeah.
you talent is really always going to be very important. And if it's disingenuous or like if you don't believe the artist's like words and like it doesn't seem genuine, it doesn't cut. But like when you heard Adele sing Rolling in the Deep back in the day, or you heard like Ed Sheeran or like Olivia Rodrigo, when Driver's License came out, the whole world shut up and listened to her because they
Mhm,
believed this kid going through something we all went through because it was real.
mhm.
And like people see through the bullshit, which is why a lot of those like writing sessions and whatnot, like the machine of it, it's great and you can get really great at writing, but it does water down like the true who is this artist, and that genuine art and talent will always have a chance to cut through. But if you don't have the business backup, good luck. You can be
Right.
talented, but without everything, you don't have the X factor.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you even I think that's why TikTok became such a successful platform because it wasn't about the glitz and the glamour and the production value. I mean, there could be a video of somebody just grabbing their phone and being like, blah, blah, singing something or coming up with something without the ear candy, the eye, like it could just be something. It could get 1,000,000, 2,000,000, 3,000,000, 4,000,000 views because it's just real and raw. And it's just, wow, this
Yeah.
person's talking to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that does become, of course, something that people learn how to do well. Um,
Right, but it
but
doesn't in the beginning, it doesn't take I mean, especially when it started, it didn't take any, you know what I
no,
mean?
yeah, an artist would blow up out of nowhere because of it. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah,
Wild.
so it's been a
Well,
crazy time. And then yeah, my tour is nuts.
yeah, tell me so I was reading about the tour. Very, very cool concept. So you're renting out these venues and you're throwing a party. It's not just like, "Okay, come see me. I'm gonna be playing at whatever, Brooklyn Bowl, and the tickets are 25 bucks, and I'm gonna play whatever equivalent venue everywhere else in the world."
Yeah, so
You're
it's
doing it
very
totally
different.
different.
Yeah, no one's I don't think anyone's ever done this for a lot of reasons. Number 1, it's fucking nuts. And number 2, it's taken a lot of risk. At the top of the year, I said, "Look, I'm gonna stop making covers. I'm just gonna focus on original music." And so I
Mhm,
started doing that. I literally spent all day every day on my album, right? Which is literally a double album. Um, I found out well, I started begging for tours. I had like a handshake deal with somebody in the agent world, and I was begging for tours. Spring and summer and fall was coming up. I wasn't getting opportunities I wanted, and the only offers I was getting were sort of like shitty deals. In the industry, in the touring industry, especially in the club world. The only people who are getting paid, and they're not really even getting paid, but the only people who are getting paid are the headliners. And then if you're a supporting act, you usually only get an offer of a flat rate that's just a few $100. You're not going to be able to pay your band. You're not going to have enough gas money to get to the next city unless you sell enough shirts. You're going to lose money to go on tour. So I got a few offers that were trash and offensive because I'm worth tickets. I've toured the US and Canada and Europe many times, and I have a fan base. But I did switch over to my name, so I understand I have less on my resume. Fine. I was getting bad deals. My wife and I found out we were pregnant, which is really exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. But that also meant like I'm not getting the touring I'm gonna get. And then we looked at each other and I was like, hey, so like this album, like, what do I do? Like, if we're gonna have a baby at the very, very end of the year in December, like, what do I do? Do I not release anything until like the baby's old enough and we're like good at like all that? Like, do I just hold off until next summer? And it sucks. Like, it really sucks. But we decided that like it made most sense to do a quick thing now. And so if I'm back by Thanksgiving and I'm gonna, get back, she's gonna be like 36 weeks pregnant. Like, it's a little risky. It really sucks for her to have to be alone. But I feel crazy supported. And thankful. And feel bad. I feel shitty to leave. But she I decided I was going to do this. So the only way to do it without the gatekeepers, the agents, and the people that can get you those opportunities was an idea I came up with that no one's ever done. And it's sort of nuts. But what I did was I went on, I mapped out where all my fans live. I take really great data. That's another piece of advice, but get data. If you make a tweet that's like, hey, tell us where to play, drop it in the comments of their Facebook posts. Tell me, you never know how to contact that Denver person again, but I take great data. So I know where everyone lives. And so I mapped out a drive that was doable of this day here. I can drive this in 6 hours and this in 3 hours. Oh, I need a day off for this. I mapped it out. And then I went on a bunch of different websites, not sponsored, but Peerspace and whatever. There's a bunch of them. And you can also just Google. And I found venues that rent out hourly. And this is anything from a wedding venue to a church on a Tuesday to in Syracuse. I have a mall that at 7:00 the mall closes and it's just straight up my mall at 7:00. Like,
That's
oh, man.
badass.
I'm like, I have actually like honestly some of the coolest venues like ever. And also because they're not like shitty rock clubs, they're not all dirty and gross. They're like often really nice. And then
Sure.
some of them have incredible staging and lighting because they're production spaces. And then some of them are like flex space warehouses that I'm bringing in my own sound and lighting. That's okay. My crew is multi-talented. So I found out, I planned out 24 cities that would work with my schedule and still get to be back here for Halloween to take our other baby on trick-or-treating. But I 24 dates, and on my Southwest credit card, I put up $25K, and I rented rooms. I hired an event planner, put her on a salary. I locked down a crew that could do the sound, like bring in our own sound and lighting if need be, but also be able to be a crew and a band, like a everyone's a Swiss Army knife. And then because I've cut out the promoters, which a regular promoter gets $1,500 of the ticket sales, and they print they print flyers and they get you an opener if you don't sell enough tickets. Since I don't have promoters taking $1,500 a show,
And who's picking up flyers? What is it? This isn't the MySpace age anymore. You know what I mean? Like you just hang out in front of a show and hand out flyers.
Promoter takes $1,500. Regular
wild.
show, $1,500. I'm just gonna regular show, $1,500 to the promoter, $1,000 to the venue, and then a 70-30 split maybe to the artist. And then you sell all your merch, and they go give us 20%, and they make all the food and drink. So
I didn't know they take a cut of your merch too. That's wild.
oh, it's a nightmare, man. And then everybody like lies about how much merch they sold, but like now that's all digital, so you can't like lie about it. Back in the day, we'd be like, oh, I only sold this many shirts, but like,
yeah, it's just like cash only.
yeah. So you might sell like even if you sell $1,000 in merch, they're like, all right, cool, give us our 200, and they get everybody in for food and drinks, and like it's a fucking nightmare. So if you're on a regular tour, the only person that gets paid is the headliner. The opening bands get screwed. So and they don't get very paid. Like everyone else collected money before they get their money, and and you have to like wrestle it out of them at the end of the night, anyways.
Right.
So, I came up with this idea. I put the money down. I set up the crew. I started to look at all the other stuff that I needed, like insurance. I figured out that legally I can get the day liquor sale permit or just the day serving permit for alcohol in most of the states. So I've been buying those. I've been hiring bartenders. I actually, at probably, I think like of the 24 shows, I think probably like 14 of the 24 shows, I am able to make my own bar, hire the licensed bartender, and I'm able to profit on the bar legally. And for example, one of the bands on my tour is called Walk on Mars. I'm
Mhm.
selling Walk on Mars Garritas. I'm David Michael Frank. I'm selling David Michael drinks, and I will be able to profit on the bar.
That's
Uh,
awesome. I
I
think you
have a
can do that
decent
here in Nashville, right?
yeah, totally. I have a
Yeah.
decent social following, and so I played the influencer game a little bit. And Pizza Hut has come on board to provide free pizza for all of my VIP. Um, I I also have a hot dog machine, so I will be able to sell hot dogs at the show. Um, I like have like a straight up like steamer with like a whole thing.
Oh,
Like you,
wow.
I
Yeah, the
like you,
box? That, like,
yeah,
boxing people hang out inside of, like, shows and stuff with?
yeah. No, I got like a whole hot dog legit steamer. And
That's tight.
a funny outfit for someone to wear if I like want to have a little like shtick on stage. But so food and drink figured out. Um, and then I'm getting licenses in all the states that I can to get tattoo artists that I can employ them to have them come to the show. I already will have I have a master tattoo designer and they're designing all the tattoos for the tour. And then I'll have all the sheets printed out and then the tattoos of the tour. And I'll be able to pay tattoo artists what would be normally a $50 tattoo. That's their money. And then we just upsell it because it's such a special event, and I'll take pictures with them and post this stuff. And like it's so then now I can still profit on tattoos and I can employ tattoo artists. So from a
Yeah, I
business
saw that on your
perspective,
website. That's cool. Yeah, it's I was scrolling down. I'm glad you're explaining that because I was like, "Oh, you're seeking tattoo artists. Like, what is this?"
yeah. So like from a business perspective, the potential is very high, but there's a tremendous amount of cost, tremendous amount of risk. I'm paying money out the ass for all kinds of shit that I need special insurance. Um, I'm having to write up a lot of contracts. There's a lot of it. I mean, if you've ever planned a wedding, that's a
I
lot of
have.
event planning.
Oh,
I
yeah. It's a
I'm
nightmare for, like
I'm doing 24 of those
yeah, I can't even imagine, man.
and finishing an album and preparing to perform the album. And now I have a cold, which sucks. Um, damn
And
baby,
you have a pregnant wife and a
pregnant
kid and
wife and
another
a baby.
baby. Yeah,
Yeah,
damn,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, so it's a lot at the same time, but I I'm gonna get an opportunity to get my name out there and do something really cool and unique that people are coming out to the shows just because even the idea is crazy. Um, and I'm gonna be performing the music that I've been in a hole working on, and like a stand-up comedian testing their material, I'm gonna be testing my material. Only a few of them will be out, like 3 of them will be out, and I'm gonna be playing an hour of original music that's like unreleased. That sounds like sort of dumb, but also really exciting. Like it's the first time people are hearing it. They won't be able to sing along to a ton of the songs, but they're gonna probably remember them. And then as I drop these songs and leak things, like and I'll leak more choruses, so it's not completely you don't know what you're seeing. But the people that are coming out are because they fell in love with my messaging and even the idea of what I'm doing. And so it this idea, by the way, would completely disrupt the touring industry, especially if I were to expose the numbers on it. And I believe that it scales up and it scales down. If you're a band that can sell 20 tickets, there are rooms available that you can rent for 20 people that you can do this at. And you could probably spend $80 and have that room and put on a 2-hour show. Maybe you have to spend $120 and you could put on a 2-hour, 3-hour show. And you would be in a far better position than playing any of those venues when you'd be sort of screwed. And you could build up to the next level. But like this, I'm seeing the rentals. I'm only doing like 200 capacity, except for Vegas, but we could talk about that. But I'm usually doing mostly 200 capacity. I see the pricing of the warehouse spaces that do 2,000 capacity. It's not. It's like $450 an hour, and like I could see that if I was actually selling 2,000 tickets, I could the business on doing that myself versus doing it at a venue is like nuts. So I'm like still like scraping by, but I know that if I sold out the tour or like what it could do, it would be great. Um,
Mhm.
I, I'm really happy with where it's been. I haven't said on social media, and I am profitable. I hit the green a little while ago. I actually hit it relatively pretty quickly. Which was like, I did shoot a little video, just embarrassing to post because I got a little like choked up, but um I hit profitability. And now it all just comes down to making those experiences better for my fans. So that's what the money's literally funding back into. Um,
That's
so
so cool, man. It's such a really it's a brilliant idea and a brilliant concept, and it's like you said, I mean, that could cut out a lot of people, right? I mean, if you were a big enough band and you're like, "Oh, well, why am I gonna pay all these people and play the same venues if I can just kind of figure out other rooms?" And I mean, obviously, it's a lot of work instead of
ton of
just
work.
being like, have someone else do it and you could just show up and play. But it sounds like that's a great move,
And it works for
especially on your part. Yeah.
you're a podcast, right? Podcast
Uh-huh.
blows up. You could literally do the same thing. You could go on tour. Let's say you're a professional photographer and like you have enough people following you to like want to hear a workshop on your photography. You could literally do the same idea.
Yeah.
Any influencer, anybody with a fan base could do this, and you don't need the gatekeepers to do it. Um, so I could put all this into like a business idea and like hire an app developer and like, can you
Right.
tell I have really bad ADHD? Um, but
So do I. So I feel you,
um,
man.
yeah, it's a really exciting thing. I have to be successful. It has to be successful, and I recognize also not everybody is in a position to like take a risk and like put $25,000 on their credit card. Uh, but uh, I've worked, of course, really hard to get to where I'm at, and I'm not crazy successful. I'm not like loaded. I'm fucking just paying a mortgage and doing all the shit and fighting for a dream that I like never went and got that job that my dad always wanted me to get. Like I'm just fighting for it because I believe in it.
Mhm.
Um, and fuck, man, if I ever do get to like Madison Square Garden, like I'm
You
already
will,
getting choked
man.
up.
I mean, yeah, you have I've done like 1,600 plus of these interviews, and everyone a lot of people that I've talked to just said, just keep going, man. Keep believing in it, and it's like if you quit, yeah, a lot of people quit before, like right before they're about to succeed. It's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
And I'm
think,
not gonna
dude,
quit anytime
I
soon.
know you won't. I'm just saying, like, you got I mean, everything's there, and you've got the fan base, and the songs are incredible. I had a chance to hear the new one that you're gonna release on Friday. It's a really, really good song, "F Me Over."
Thanks, man. Thank
Yeah.
you. And
Uh,
the cool thing, I think I have like in a game of poker, I have not played anywhere near my best hands. I've got like some real bangers on this list, but on the first one I put out, so what? I wanted to put out something that was like not gonna offend anyone or not gonna be like the rock people will like it, but the pop people will like it. And I have such a broad fan base because of the different songs I've covered where like My Heart Will Go On went crazy viral. And then I have like a huge fan base on Facebook of like older people because of that. But then like I've done some like Broadway covers that now all the Broadway people like me. And then like I've done some metal things and the metal people like me, but like I'm sort of Jimmy Eat World Incubus Radioheady, but I can sing like a modern Steve Perry kind of, like I'm like Patrick Stump, Brendan Urie,
mhm,
Demi Lovato vocally. Um so this second one, fuck me over, F me over. I'm not sure how I'll refer to it. And this is my first time speaking about it on a podcast, but this one I knew was going to be a little more risky purely because of the title, being explicit lyrics, but also the heartbreak that was sort of went into like the recording or the writing of that song and sort of the memories there. Um, that's all like real emotion, and it's hard to get into words sometimes what you're trying to say. And I think the song does a really good job of it lyrically. Um, and I sing my ass off on it too. Um,
mhm.
and they got a guitar solo, like all the things, man. It's like the shit I like grew up like loving. I like just vocals that are cool. I like good lyrics. I like good beat and melody. And I'm a guitar player, so I still like. I'm not trying to fit in any boxes. Yeah, I'm trying to
Right.
write like pop catchy shit, but like I'm just being me. Yeah.
That's
I don't even know
awesome.
what genre is that? Does that feel like anything to you?
When I hear it for that song, I mean,
Yeah,
it's got, I don't know, it's rock, but it kind of gives me like the mid 2000s, like kind of that emo vibe to it.
sure. I've got
Um,
other songs. I have another one I finished. It's very dashboard confessionally. Um, I got some like breakdowns and some stuff too. Like I don't really know what I'm doing, but um, yeah, I'm really excited about "Fuck Me Over." It drops really soon, and now it's just getting people over there, and then the silliness of how do you promote songs now? It's
right.
it's not just I still love music videos. I still love music videos, but it's not the thing. I've already shot a music video for it, and I shot a music video for my last one. But what I've been doing is I've been hiring videographers here, and I say, let's do 30 videos. Let anything we can come up with, let's throw spaghetti at the wall while singing the lyrics, and that's the video. Let's do 30 videos of whatever we can do to try to get people. Let's abuse that pre-chorus over and over again to get people to hear the song. Because if something goes, it can go.
Mhm.
Um, and that's the struggle. It's a lot harder on the algorithms with original music than covers.
Sure.
Um, so get talented video people to push the limits of their creativity. And I've been coming up with some cool. I got a lot of content ready to post for "Fuck Me Over" as well.
That's
Um,
awesome. I'm curious because you mentioned it earlier about the tour. You said, there's only going to be a handful of songs that are, or a few songs that have been released, and you're going to be playing all new material. But you kind of related it to like a stand-up comedian. You're like, I'm going to go out and test this material. Like, have you already, out of all the songs that you've written, like the double album of music, have you already sift through and figured out, okay, this is going to make the album, or are you gonna use this as an opportunity to kinda see what people like more? I mean, I don't know. Are you gonna use this as kind of like a gauge to put songs onto the record or not at all?
a little, but everything's gonna make the cut. Everything's to get to this point already has been cut in
Oh,
itself,
okay.
but there's straight up 25 songs that are like at the end. Now, which ones got finished faster than the others? That just came down to timing of like vocals and whatever else like worked out.
Mhm.
There was a little bit of like a slight lean towards picking certain ones, but I don't know what's the hits. I don't know what the songs are. I had one that I thought was gonna not make the cut, and I actually outsourced. I sent the demo to Israel to a producer that I like, and I was like, "Look, man, can you save this one?" And I think that one he sent it back, and holy shit! And I've done all the production on everything except for that one. That was like the one where I didn't like produce like anything. Um, and that might be the song. I instantly got it back. I was like, oh, this has to make it into the set list. Like I started moving it forward so that that one can make it into the set list. So I don't know what, but I do know that I have 5 songs done, mastered by Ted Jensen.
Mhm.
I have 2 already out with "Fuck Me Over." I
Mhm.
have a third slated for next month, but I don't know exactly which one that will be. I'll probably do the Dashboard Confessional one because I want to do something that lyrically redeems myself from "Fuck Me Over" being explicit, which is fine that
Mhm.
it is. But I know that people will be offended, and that's okay. But I'm going to do something that now hits a little bit more on the hopeful side lyrically. Um, and I wrote a song that it toes the line of sort of the song is called "Talk to Myself," and it's a message to myself and my own struggles and my own sort of like I'm not even that depressed, but like the darker moments of my life. Um and it that song is it preaches in a way that's not preachy. It is hopeful in a way that toes the line of not being cheesy, and it's not cheesy. It's really touching and hopefully very inspiring towards someone in their dark moments. So I do think lyrically I'm gonna try to take a change from the breakup songs and moves to sort of something hopeful. Um
Mhm.
but I got a lot of different music, a lot of different styles. I have stuff for the heavy people, stuff for the softer people, stuff for the pop people, stuff for the more acoustic people. Um, and everything's gonna make the cut. And I'm gonna let the audience figure it out. I'm not gonna set release dates unless I can get something on fire. And I'm gonna get something
Yeah.
on fire.
Love that, man. And that's awesome that I mean, you have the freedom to do that, right? I mean, there's not a label or A&R being like, you have to put this song out then, and you got to hold these and do this. So that's probably pretty freeing to have that,
Yeah.
be able to sustain yourself and then be able to kind of do what you want when it comes to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I am at a place that I think for the first time I would really entertain that idea of a label.
Mhm.
I think I come in with a often those deals are onerous. They're often one-sided towards the label, and artists that sort of don't understand the big picture will sign something that might be a little bit sharky. Um,
Right. It's like, "What
but
can you guys do for me?" And you can come in and be like, "What can you do for me?" You know
yeah,
what I mean?
I know what I need. I
Right.
need connections, and I need those bigger tours. I'm gonna be able to bring tickets to those people. I'll bring 150 people to whatever, whatever city of that tour. And hopefully more than that. But I need the connections. I need those Spotify playlists. But I don't need cash for recording because
Mhm.
that's blood, sweat, equity. That's me. I got the gear, I got the skills, and I can outsource where I need to. But usually those advances that an artist would get, you have to spend on your studio time. And I already built my studio. I got the studio time on lock. So I just need the other stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and it would be a partnership if I did have a label or a manager or something. So I'm ready to start having those conversations. And I finally, for the first time in my life, have finished unreleased music
Mhm.
because for however many years I was exporting a mix and just straight uploading it. Just like, okay,
Oh,
quick, we don't have
yeah.
time. And now I'm gonna have like I literally have a SoundCloud of 5 songs that are done. Done, mastered, done. I'm not gonna touch a thing on them. They're done. And I'm
That's
about to have a
awesome.
lot more.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
Very, very cool. David, thank you so much, man, for doing this. This has been, awesome. I've learned so much from you. This has really been an
Yeah,
incredible.
but we should. I mean, if you're in the Nashville area, we should definitely hang out. Love to have you by the studio.
Oh, I would love
We
that.
have dinner, you
Yeah.
and your wife.
Yeah. I got 2 kids as well, a little bit older than yours, but, yeah, that's awesome.
That's
I've
very cool.
I have one more question. Like I said, I already asked it or you answered it earlier, but do you have any advice for aspiring artists if they missed all the other incredible advice that you've already given?
Um, yeah, be able to get a end product with the things that you have. It could be your phone, it could be your laptop, it could be a shitty little interface and one mic. Be able to get all the way through the art process of writing a song, recording a song to the best of your abilities, editing it, all of the parts of the editing or programming or whatever it is, to mixing it, to maybe to learning a little bit of mastering it, to taking your photo for the album art, to doing a little bit of graphic design, to shooting a little bit of a video, to editing a little bit of video, to getting all of it out there and then also release it and be proud of it. Because if you don't say your thing over and over again, no one's gonna hear it. You need to be selfless. I don't even know the right word for this. You need to confidently promote yourself. Um, and if you can do all of those things on your skills, you can then be somewhat sustainable and you can then work with people who are better than you and you can find where your voice is in some of those. You might be a video editor and that could be your voice in communicating your messaging and you might not know that. But learn a little bit of everything. Then you'll be able to like figure out the big picture because if you don't know the big picture, you are reliant on other people and your chance of success drops drastically because you're gonna have to pay for it. And where does that money come from? But if you can't release it, you can't pay for it.
Bringing it backward.